Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for the Progress Channel, video number 14 from the Morality and Personal Conduct sub-thread. I have like 10 of these sort of topic ideas or topic organizations that I'll talk about. And today's video is Getting Rich is a Virtue. What? That sounds like something you may not have heard before. So, to talk about today, the outline is notions about wealth and morality. We'll explain and explore why telling people getting rich is a virtue usually comes off weird. We are going to define value, talk about why value production is good, talk about who produces the most value, asking the question, now that we've filleted rich people for long enough, if being rich, if rich people can be bad, if they're not just amazing, asking the very interesting and, controversial question of, are less rich people worse than rich people? Talking about people who are net consumers of value instead of net producers of value, and supporting more value creation. Here we go. Now, this video is going to be instantly controversial because many people think that rich people are bad or that money and wealth are bad. It is a common quote nowadays among some folks that billionaires are evil. There's something particularly bad about billionaires, or that trying to make as much money as possible is bad. And if you're talking with people and they just met, and you're sort of at a bar or club or some kind of lounge and you're chilling, or you're at school and someone asks you, hey, what do you do? Or where do you see your future headed? What's your career? And you say something effective, well, I'm this and that, I'm an engineer, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, what is it about it that you like? What is kind of your plan for the future? And you say, well, I'm actually just trying to make as much money as possible. And a lot of people will interpret that as kind of a weird thing, maybe charitably and not charitably a bad thing, to show that you're somehow, selfish in a negative connotation, or kind of vacuous, like wow, this guy's a fucking Einstein. He wants to get rich. Get in line, sir. It's pathetic. It's like a pretty 16-year-old girl in high school. You ask her, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? She's like, I want to be the prettiest girl in the world, even prettier. You're like, oh, word up, Deborah. Yeah, I'm saying age 32 might start to be your decline in everything. You're not thinking ahead on this. And a lot of times trying to get more money is met with sort of a similar thing. Very common quote. People say all the time, money is the root of all evil. And people a lot of times will quote that and sort of notionally assume it's got to be true. Many, many people. Then there's that good old Bible quote, as much punching power as the Bible has typically. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. I should have done that in an Antonio Banderas voice. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. That's a shitty Antonio Banderas. But if you've seen the movie The 13th Warrior, it is one of my all-time favorites. You should go watch it if you're into bad movies. All right. So what the hell am I talking about? Have I just read one too many Ayn Rand books? I do have an Ayn Rand tattoo on each shoulder, so I must be a crazy Randroid and easy to debate against and win against. So many have thought. Let's find out if I'm actually insane or if I can make some sense. So first, let us define what value is. Why are we starting with value? We'll get there eventually. What is value? That's an easy answer, actually. It's anything that people want to have or want to get. That is what they consider valuable. Now, there's a couple ways to get to value. You can create value yourself. For example, if you draw yourself a pretty picture that makes you smile and you put it up on your refrigerator, it'll continue to make you smile for at least some time into the future and thus produce value for you because you want that picture and you now have that picture and it gives you good feelings. Because you want it and you have it, you have value. Cool. Somebody else can create value for you. You don't have to make it yourself. The Coca-Cola bottling plant creates cans of Coca-Cola that are a combination of what people want to have or want to get. And when they have it or get it, they feel like their value has been enhanced. Now, when other people make valuable things that you want to have or want to get, they might give it to you for free, like a gift or something, which is nice. Like, when I pull up in my Lamborghini to the club, I usually flick the guy I don't know what his job is. I don't know what the name of his job is. He's supposed to take my car and park it somewhere. I don't mind myself with these kinds of poor people, but I'll flick him a penny and I go, "Meh, see, something for the family back home." Meh. And he usually is required by the policy of his job to smile in my direction, and thus I assume he's happier. So it's a gift. Enjoy, my impoverished friend. But on a serious note, gifts are cool. And so sometimes people give you gifts that are valuable and thus increase your value. Or very often you may give someone something that you value a little bit less, they value a bit more, and what they give you in return, you value more and they value a little bit less. So it's a positive sum trade. And an example of this is like you have $2 in your pocket and someone has an ice cold Coke on a hot day. And you go, "Hey, I got $2. Do you want this $2? More than you want this Coke?" And they're like, "Yes, I'm a Coca-Cola distributor. And thus your Coke is marginally not valuable to me at all." You get ice cold Coca-Cola. It makes you way happier in that moment than $2 could have. And that gentleman gets $2, which he puts into his young daughter's college fund. Oh, what a wholesome story. Just kidding. He uses it to buy drugs to destroy his life. Either way, he gets what he wants. Ugh, don't worry, we'll parse that in a sec. So a lot of times, maybe most times, people trade. And thus, you get something more valuable to you than what you parted with. And if it's voluntary trade, generally, on average, not all the time, both people get a little bit more of what they want, and their value goes up. So that's what value is all about. Now, why is value production a good thing? Value production is the literal act of creating wanted things. With no hyperbole, it is wish fulfillment in practice. It is releasing the genie from the bottle. What is better than getting what you want and more of it? I'll wait. Pretty good, huh? Value is really good. Now, technically speaking, I can poke a hole into my own shit here. I can think of one thing that's better than getting what you want, and that's getting what you need. And we do need a lot of things, which is why people pay a lot of their money for things like food, which they need, shelter, which they need, water, which they need, medicine, which they need, etc. And why producing those things, producing those incredibly valuable things that people definitely need, so value can also be things people need and also want. They have to want it for them to value it. Producing those things like producing food and shelter and water and medicine is really, really awesome. Okay, we're winning again here. Value is awesome. But even if it's just getting what you want, which explains more of how rich people occur, getting what you want is a damn good second place. And we can't be too upset at people getting more of what they want. We can be a little bit upset about it because they needed something else, and that's a valid critique. But that gets more nuanced, and we'll get into that later. In any case, getting people what they want is awesome, and that's why value production is good, because it just gives people more of what they want. So now we ask the question that is really kind of getting us to the central thesis of this whole discussion. Who produces the most value? In the vast majority of cases, people will pay the most money of what they have for the things they value the most, especially in a relatively free economy, which if you're watching this video, you probably live in one. So people have a certain amount of money. Let's say I have $1,000 and I can spend it because I have other stuff in savings and my income's good, et cetera. And I have $1,000 to spare. I'm very likely to spend the vast majority of that $1,000 on things that I value. I mean, how would I not? Unless I'm under some grand illusion, which happens sometimes. At least the illusion tells me I value these things. So as far as my direct experience is concerned, I spend most of my money, and so does almost everyone else, on things that they value the most. Now, if you have millions and millions, and in fact billions of people on Earth, spending their money in such a way that gives them the most value back, you're going to find a considerable amount of agreement on people thinking similar things are valuable. And thus, when people spend, a lot of people all around the world spend some of their very, very hard-earned money on things they perceive are valued high to them, and there's a lot of agreement, you're going to have some sectors of the economy, some companies, some individuals who produce a disproportionate or have to offer for sale a disproportionate amount of things people value, and other folks that have a disproportionately less value proposition situation for others. And thus you can expect some countries or companies or sectors or people to get much more money if for no other reason, and there's other ways to get money I'll talk about later, then a lot of people really want what they have to offer. So the people in a society that earn the most money are very, very often just producing more of what most people want. For example, why does Bill Gates have like $1 gazillion? Because I'll tell you this, no attempt to obfuscate the existence of Microsoft Excel is the genesis of why I have any of my rather large net worth at all. Because we made a bunch of products in our Renaissance periodization company using Microsoft Excel. And for a long time I spent, even when we weren't making Excel-based products, I was using Excel and still do to organize a lot of my structures and thinking and all sorts of stuff. Microsoft Excel is such a leap in the ability to organize data that prior to it, people either used really crappy digital versions that were not Microsoft Excel, or even slightly before then, in really the modern times, the 70s and stuff, they actually kept track of bookkeeping through literal pencil and paper or pen and ink. What an insane idea. And how much value Microsoft Excel by itself, never mind Word or any other Microsoft products, how much value that generated for the world, for me and for you and for almost everyone, compounds like crazy. It ends up being like whatever the hell Bill Gates made out of that is chump change. I mean, I am fully prepared to claim that the existence of Microsoft Excel by itself probably has over time added trillions of dollars to the global output. Holy shit. Why is Bill Gates rich? I don't know. I have a hint, though. I have a clue. It's because he made something, helped make something, organized the process by which something was made that a crap load of people found unbelievably valuable, and totally voluntarily they sent him his money. Amazing. Tesla. Why does Elon Musk have so much money? One is because the stock price is high because people believe that he's going to be making a lot of value in the future. But also, he single-handedly revolutionized, well, a bunch of industries, but really the electric car industry is the most famous example. And his electric cars are net profitable so early in their timeline and becoming more net profitable over time that he's generating an unbelievable amount of value. And Tesla's a fucking sweet car. It does all kinds of really cool shit. It's like basically the best performing cars ever made that also, eventually will be better for the environment, certainly, than just regular, internal combustion engine cars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the reason Elon Musk, or at least one of them, that he has $1 gazillion or whatever, it's because he makes the Tesla car. And, there's a wait list for Tesla cars. It's really fucking long. Nobody's pointing a gun to anyone's head and saying, buy Teslas. I've never seen that happen. As a matter of fact, if you point a gun to someone's head and say, give me a Tesla, then maybe they're like, look, I'd love to. Please don't kill me. I just don't have a Tesla around. And I'm on the wait list too, motherfucker. It's going to be 4 months for both of them. So definitely people want stuff. Another one, whoever the stockholders are of the Kroger Corporation, or the corporation that owns Kroger. Fuck if I know what that really is. Kroger is, by the way, a grocery store chain in at least northeastern United States. And it's good. Kroger's good. There's a version of it called the Super Kroger, which is like just a store that has almost everything in it. But the grocery selection is just, everything's unbelievably clean, unbelievably reasonably priced. The diversity is insane. My Kroger here in town has 4 different aisles for just potato chips. What? It is in a fucking enormous store, so there's 4 different aisles for everything else. Unbelievable. And I go to Kroger every week with my wife, many times, several times a week. And we give Kroger Corporation a ton of our money all the time. And whoever owns Kroger is rich as hell, and I'd love to shake their hand, but I don't have to because I already gave them a ton of money in hand. They should be shaking my hand. In either way, it's net positive. This is not a mystery why the people that run Kroger Corporation, or by extension, any of the other, thousands of corporations that do great value for us all the time, like build the laptop I'm using right now, build the camera that you're recording. What is that, Scott, video guy? What kind of camera is that? Canon. Like if I ever met the CEO of Canon, I'd be like, bro, I owe you an inordinate amount of money because I get to use your unbelievable camera to be less ugly on camera, or actually more, because it's a high def camera. So you need to give me money back, motherfucker. Your camera is too goddamn high def. But on a serious note, I don't have to thank him because I already paid him for the camera. The camera costs a fucking gazillion dollars. Thank you so much. But it's worth it. That's the thing. No mystery there. And let's take another little quick approach. It's not just all CEOs. What about Beyonce? Why is Beyonce loaded? Well, because Beyonce, through some combination of her singing and her dancing and her appearance, people want to see a whole shitload of that. People listen to Beyonce songs and they come on the radio. They want to pay money for that sort of thing. Sometimes not direct money, but they're willing to tune into the radio enough to hear a few commercials. And then that's how that monetizes. So those people end up paying Beyonce. They buy her tracks, they buy her records, they sure shit go to her shows. She's got fashion lines and all that stuff. Whatever it is Beyonce is putting out, her vibe is some shit a lot of people want. They really value. So is Beyonce evil for being super fucking rich? How did she get rich? By giving people good vibes, period. It's really all she's produced. And gee whiz, people are ready to pay a lot for that. So that's a really, really good thing. So taking it all together, in the vast majority of cases, the evidence for who has produced the most value for society, as counted up by the dollars coming from the rest of society to that person voluntarily, is a person's wealth, or better stated, their net lifetime income, because you can spend wealth away. You know, you made a ton of money helping a bunch of people, but then you spent it all gambling and you don't have any wealth left over. And people are like, see, he sucks. We're like, actually, no, he's really good because he helped a lot of people and got a lot of income in the meantime. So definitely something there. In essence, how much money you make through your life is some not perfect, and we'll get to that later, very good indicator, likely indicator that you did the most good for the most number of people, or rather you fulfilled the wishes of the most number of people, or a small fraction of people that had such intense wishes they were willing to pay you a crap load of money individually. Another way to say this is, on average, rich people produce the most value, or rather have produced the most value, and thus, in a sense, they are literally more valuable to most other people in society. They're the MVPs of the team via what you can easily describe as direct democracy. Everyone voted with $1. Not everyone, but everyone who wanted to vote. It's even better than direct democracy. It's a voluntary direct democracy. You want to vote for this person to give them more money? No? Okay, sweet. No worries. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy a Tesla. You don't have to shop at Kroger. You can go shop at Walmart. But if you show up and you want to vote with your dollars, you vote. You say, okay, actually, this person is amazing. Here, take this and give me back whatever it is you're giving to me. That is as direct as democracy ever gets. It's fractional. It's fluid. It's voluntary. It's the fucking best. And via that voting process, people end up saying, hey, like rich people or whoever the hell wasn't rich before but is rich now seem to be valuable to us, literally, because we pay them money and they give us back more value than our money has in it by itself. Or rather, any other use of our money we could have spent. And again, it could be some rich people just get rich servicing a select few, but those select few give those people a lot of money. So even those select few people must have a huge, huge want that gets satisfied. And also, most of those other people, like if you get rich servicing just a few, if you're like a super executive assistant to just one rich person, he's the only person that pays you, you get, $350K a year being his executive assistant. Really, he didn't help a lot of people. He helped just one. But then you ask the question of one frame removed of, well, how did that rich person get a ton of money? And very likely that rich person got a ton of money by satisfying the wants of a crap load of people. And so, hey, now you are someone who helps. It's like being Michael Jordan's assistant. MJ puts up a lot of fucking points, bro. And if you're his assistant, you're helping in some way, definitely, which is a really good thing. So producing a lot of value makes you really, really awesome. So if you are rich, you've probably been really awesome, which is a good thing, by the way. Now, let me wipe off the crusty rich person semen off my mouth. Enough of that. Let's talk about if rich people can be bad. Yes. God, yes. At least in a few ways. First of all, unfortunately, not all rich people become rich through voluntary exchange of goods and services. Some people become rich by plundering. For example, Vladimir Putin is in possession of, at least $500 billion by most estimates. How did he get that? What was it so valuable that Putin created? Tyranny, killing reporters, starting a war, totally pointless and killing hundreds of thousands. Nope. Oh, yeah. He just was the guy in charge and had more guns behind him than everyone else and just fucking took the money. That sucks. Like there's like a Sultan of Brunei or some shit that did more or less the same thing. And over history, many, probably most rich people were oligarchs of various natures, kings and queens and nobles. And the way they got rich is usually by plunder and by force. So that's bad. And I can totally relate when people say that rich people are bad, you know, the whole Bible quote, the eye of the needle shit. Yeah, like back then the Bible times, the rich person was probably not great. Very little free enterprise was going on, and people who engaged in free enterprise probably weren't very wealthy on average, because back then people just had a really small ability to create value individually or even in voluntary organizations. Nowadays, the way you create the most value is you in a corporation. Back then, I'm saying there was no like Bible Corporation BC, Jesus and Sons carpentry business wasn't scalable. So thus, you know, most of the people who were rich, just like took wealth from other people and enslaved them and all this other crazy shit. So definitely tons of bad rich people. Now, rich people do this other thing, even if they're in a relatively free market. Sometimes rich people will collude with one another or collude with the government to reduce competition by force and make unfair competitive practices so they can reduce how much total value the society receives, but of the fraction of value that society receives, they get the biggest part and they keep competitors out. That is really, really bad. And we should fight it tooth and nail all the time. So when I see a rich CEO, I don't automatically assume he's a good person. And as a matter of fact, I had one dealing. We were contracting somebody to work on our app, on our diet app for the first time that we built at Renaissance Periodization. And this person, within 15 minutes of sitting down to talk with us at one of the dinners we had well through the development process, which, by the way, was abandoned, and we got another team, which also sucked. And then we got our last team, which was great, and they actually made us a ton of money. So this guy on the first team, after 15 minutes of a certain dinner, we were talking about just BS regular, and he said he was libertarian. And I was like, oh, dope. Like, I'm more or less kind of that. And he's like, yeah. And then we talked longer, and he's like, yeah, I really think that we're actually actively trying to lobby right now, various government, state of California, and even the federal government, in order to not allow just anyone to build an app. Like, we need regulation of the industry. And I was playing arguing to convince at the time, and I was like, oh, word up. Ha, ha, ha. But in reality, I wanted to be like, what are you, fucking nuts? Why? Describe to me the problem of people purchasing unregulated apps. Oh, there is no problem like that, because you know what you're buying when you're getting an app. It's on the fucking iTunes store, the Google Play Store. And if you buy random apps and just pay for them without knowing if they're decent, you're out of your fucking mind. There is no problem to solve, but I do suspect that at some level, the intentions were slightly selfish. That person would have thought himself to be easily in the camp of regulatorily approved app developers, and thus more money for him, which is really bad because it reduces competition. It reduces value for everybody else. Now, rich people can be neutral as well, like those who have inherited wealth but didn't build much. Like, if I find out you're rich, I'm taking a flight and I get bumped to first class or business class, and I sit next to you and we talk and I realize you inherited a bunch of money but you haven't done much with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not, your parents were fucking dope, or your grandparents or whoever. You know what I'm saying? You have something left to prove. Or there can be a lot of nuances to whether or not rich people are actually good or bad. For example, rich people often get rich by giving people what they want. But those things may not help people become either happier or more productive in the long term, and can even be a net negative to those people, but those people still perceive them as valuable positives and purchase them. So we could say, oh, this is bad, but then again, those people have agency, they're human beings, so it's nuanced. For example, are drug dealers evil? I mean, in a sense, yeah, I'm saying they kill kids and shit. Drug dealers are bad, they kill people all over, they're super corrupt. But like, you know what I'm saying? You think drug dealers are evil until, you know what I'm saying, you buy weed from your local weed dealer who's just like a Bob Marley fan and has fucking great weed. Like, hey, like, is Josh fucking from, you know what I'm saying, Helmer Street down the block evil? You're like, Josh, bro? Josh is a great guy. Like, yeah, but he's a drug dealer. You're like, no. He sells fucking weed, dude. He's not out there killing people. Like, okay. So drug dealers maybe aren't terrible. And everyone thinks cocaine dealers are evil until they're in Miami at a nightclub and they're doing cocaine. And then you could probably ask them after they hit a bump, hey, are cocaine dealers evil? They'd be like, yeah, fuck, crazy, super bad. I got you. But they brought you happiness. And oh, yeah, wow. I don't know how many people have time for nuance and dubstep Miami club on cocaine, but certainly you're not likely to get it there. So drug dealers, are they evil? They can be. And also there's a sliver there where, no, they're just supplying you what you demand, literally. Another thing is gangster rappers. Gangster rappers make me, in many cases, happy to listen to. I want to hear DMX talk about things that are, in 2023 would have gotten his ass mega canceled. I think it's great. It gets me violent and shit for my big lifts, and sometimes just in the car. My wife and I are driving. Scott the video guy and I are driving. DMX all the way. Whatever dumbass nonsense rap is today. It sounds great. But then if you listen to the lyrics and you understand who these people are, the huge fraction of them are just vile, awful, fucking terrible people that are net negative contributors to society through their cultural influence. Like they valorize crime and murder and literal rape and theft and antisocial behavior. Rap is like an anthem for antisocial behavior. So are rappers who get rich, like Jay-Z or something, are they good? Yeah, it's nuanced. In many cases, yes, they are actually providing people with great things. And also the proximate thing that rap is its songs. And I always think it's funny when rappers act tough because I'm like, motherfucker, you sing songs for a living. Shut the fuck up. My fucking son's kindergarten teacher does that too on every fucking Friday, afternoon. She'll sing a song to the class. That's you, homie, you little bitch. But on a serious note, it's nice. That one got Scott the video guy. It's nice. You make songs, make people happy. It's great. But then what are the people learning from your songs? What sort of cultural trends are you reinforcing? It's nuanced. It's complicated. Another one is junk food manufacturers. Goddamn, they make you happy. Whoever the fuck, Lil Debbie, that bitch is like a drug dealer because she's got that shit and you want it. I want to see Lil Debbie hang with some hood people. Be like, hey, what do you do? She's like, motherfucker, I got that work. They're like, what are you talking about? She's like, you moving bricks. I'm out here moving fucking pallets of fucking junk food to these dumb motherfuckers. I got it made. And they're like, holy shit, take notes. Little Debbie's the best drug dealer of all time. That bitch got the connect to everyone. She's literally doing millions and billions in sales of food that actually just kind of kills you over time. But then also it makes you really happy. And in a well-balanced diet and physical activity, you can have plenty of Little Debbie's Hostess cakes, or whatever the fuck they are, and be totally great. So nuanced. So rich people can be bad, they can be neutral, and there can be a lot of nuance there as well. Now, inevitably, let's get into the sort of darker sides of really big questions here. If we're saying rich people are great, if we're saying rich people are better, are we saying less rich people are worse? I would say this, as long as less rich people are producing enough wealth to sustain themselves, definitely they are not worse. But to come from another angle, are they as valuable to society, people that don't produce as much wealth? And by society, I mean the highest number of other people, the rest of us, are not rich people as valuable to the rest of us as rich people are? And the answer is on average, no. If aliens come through and pick up John from accounting, who produces $100,000 of value for his corporation per year, and he gets paid 80 of that, aliens are like, hey, we're gonna John from accounting, let's go. We got paradise for you up on fucking Mars. Let pack your shit. And he's like, oh, word up. Fuck all of you in accounting. I'm out. That is a loss. That's definitely a loss for his corporation. And because his corporation can't produce value as well without him, it's a little flicker in the total value of society. Society value is down a little bit until he can be replaced, and it's going to take a little while. So there's definitely some not great things happening. I don't want aliens to come take John from accounting. Motherfucker, sit down. We need you, little bitch. You signed a contract. Aliens, give us 6 months. This contract runs out, then you can fucking have him. So yeah, that's not great. But if aliens came down and took Elon Musk, who's going to change the world for the better and make electric cars and the Truth GPT and all these power walls and all the shit like that? I mean, fuck, man. Elon's produced so much wealth so far. I'm figuring he's going to produce a whole lot more. And kind of without putting too fine a point on it, a few days of Elon Musk's diligent, deep work effort produces more value for society than John in accounting his entire life. So that's a real thing, man. That's real as fuck. So are people like John from accounting as valuable to the rest of society? In some moral sense, valued as human lives everyone's valued the same. Fucking God, read the Constitution. I 100% agree with that. But in another sense, valued as sort of a team member to society, not as much. A good analogy here is like if you have a bus full of a basketball team. I was going to say a basketball team on a bus, and you got some players on that bus that aren't very good at basketball, and some players that are the best on the team of basketball. What is the value of these people on the bus as human beings? It's equivalent, because everyone's a fucking human being. And if you ask the best player on the bus, what about the worst player? Like, what do you think about him? He's like, yo, that's John. He's my fucking homie. He's my man. He'd be like, he sucks though, right? You're like, yeah, but shut the fuck up about it. What are you talking about? He sucks. He's great. Like, but he sucks at basketball. Like, yeah, he's not that good at basketball. We're on our own certain little place, but like, he's my man. So fuck you. Get out of my face. As a human being, we're all equal of value. That's a really good thing to establish. But as producers on a team, how much we help others, that is not equal. And the guy on the team that's the best basketball player is more valuable to the team. Like if little Johnny that sucks gets hurt, it's like, man, that sucks at a human level. The physical pain you're experiencing, I don't want you to experience. But if the best player on the team gets hurt, definitely that is true also. Physical pain sucks. But also, we ain't gonna win any games anymore, man. That really sucks in a different kind of way. So yes, richer people are on average more valuable to others, to the rest of society, than everybody else. But I won't say, because of fundamental human rights and the way I construct my ideas of value, I won't say that less rich people are bad, ever. But if you pushed me, and I wouldn't do this myself, you pushed me to say they are less good, they produce less good for others, I could entertain that. I wouldn't phrase it like that, but I wouldn't recoil from that phrasing as quickly as many others would. And as always, on average, feel free to pointlessly type in exceptions to the rule in the comments. All right. Now, we covered rich people, they're great. We covered people that aren't rich, they're cool. What about people on the other end of the production spectrum? Let's cover those people really quick. So what about people that consume more value than they produce? They take more than they give back. I thought of a few categories of these people. It's probably not an inclusive list, but it's close. First, children. I don't have kids, but we have a dog. Her name's Gwen. She's an English bulldog, and she does precisely nothing all day long. And she has yet to pay rent or even offer to fucking go buy groceries. The hell is she doing? Similarly, children do not produce much value. However, children are an investment in future value production. If you raise your children remotely competently and give them enough food and don't abuse them, give them an education, they will almost all human beings are net value producers, not consumers, which is why having more people in your society is almost always better, especially if it's a free economy that can flex with the increasing population. I'll have a video on overpopulation soon, don't worry, and all of its myths, and why China really shot itself in the balls trying to restrict its production of humans through abortion laws, which is going to be paying for right now. But generally, because children are an investment in the future, we're not too worried about them being unproductive for a while. I mean, think about it. When you go to college, you don't produce diddly dick except for pointless homework assignments that no one ever sees, including your professor. And I'm a professor. I'm kidding. I read all your shit. But I know a few professors that just grade based on scanning the document. I'll just put it that way. You don't make shit in college, but college prepares you ostensibly with the skills and abilities to go make more value later on. So we call that an investment, and children are definitely an investment. So they're cool. I'm not saying children are bad. Please, I'm very clear about this. What about elderly people? Well, they have already produced a ton of value. So because they're now just net consumers, they're cool, man. They earned their shit. What about the obvious? People who are sick or disabled, and for those reasons are unable to produce value. Jesus Christ, it's just really nice to help those people because it sucks to be in their position. We don't have to be jerks and fucking Ayn Rand insane Randroid robots. And we can be like, look, it fucking blows and we should be fucking helping them. 100%. So absolutely not. I'm not saying sick and disabled people. I would never say that they're bad or they're net consumers of value in a terrible way and we should hate them and look down on them with disdain. Fuck no, I ain't on that crazy ass Hitler bullshit. It blows to be sick and it blows to be disabled. And the least we can do as a society of radically increasing wealth is fucking help them out and not like fucking help them out and be like, oh, you should get better. No shit. You don't think they think that? All right, that was easy. What about number 4? People who skate by on handouts, voluntary handouts from others. Like you're just like a pothead kid who has a rich uncle. You're doing it right. You're an entrepreneur, quote unquote. And you just like smoke weed and drive around on your Escalade and hang out with your friends. And the uncle just gives you a fucking stipend. I actually have a friend who has a friend. Oh, how about that for a name drop? Who's technically is some lower level member of the Saudi royal family. And when he was studying to become nothing in London at a college he was just taking 1 credit at to remain technically in school, the Saudi royal family would give him something like $100,000 a month as a stipend to just exist. Nobody's making him do that. They're doing that voluntarily. And I see that as a person that is not producing any value. He's just consuming. So I don't have any hate for people like that because I reserve hate for a special group I will talk about shortly. But they don't get any love from me because, like, motherfucker, you ain't did shit. Like, what do you do? That's one of my first questions I want to know about someone. Like, how do you produce value for the world? What are you doing for our team that is a society? And they're like, I go to the club a lot. Like, you're the fucking man. You've got it all figured out. So, no love for me, but no hate for me, but no love for that group. What about people that skate by and do nothing and have plans to do nothing, even though they are totally able-bodied and mentally quite healthy? What about people that skate by on government handouts, which are not voluntary if you really think about it? That's fucking lame. So if you're cheating the welfare system, which was designed to help the needy, and you're just doing fucking your own thing there and just getting welfare money, you suck and you're fucking lame. Full stop. And I think you probably know that. And lastly, there are people who extract value by involuntary means, force or fraud, and we call them criminals. Grandma has a purse, you take her purse. Something like that. And that's very, very bad. I would call that evil. And I'm very anti-crime for that reason, because crime destroys value. And value is, drumroll, things that people want. Things that people want. So as a criminal, you're destroying things that people want. And that's fucking bad. So boo to criminals. That consumer's a value that I really don't like. Everyone else, I'm at worst meh about, and at best, totally cool. Totally cool. All right. Lastly, if we like getting people more of what they want, we like value. And if we want for more people to get more of what they want in the future, we have to set up a system or help support a system that creates more value. How? I have at least 3 suggestions. 1, culturally, I think we should valorize, or at least be cool with valorizing if you don't want to participate, the productive rich. The idea that there's a large set of memes shared on the politically left-wing part of the internet that, billionaires are evil. This comes close to being the opposite of the truth. Very close to being the opposite of the truth. Billionaires are usually, not always, usually people who have produced more for the rest of us than you meme-sharing motherfuckers ever will. So hang your fucking head down in shame. Rich people, in this case, are better than you, and you should look up to them. And if you don't want to look up to them, just look to the side, motherfucker, because the rest of us are going to be looking up to them. When people are like, oh my God, Elon Musk, I'm like, yes, sweet. Now, is Elon Musk a fucking weirdo sometimes? Sure, we all are. Does he overpromise and underdeliver on timelines? Yeah, that's his shit. It's like, hey, self-driving is going to be here tomorrow. 5 years later, we're like, self-driving, I don't know. But he has produced an inordinate amount of value, and Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Beyonce and Jay-Z, they're the fucking shit. We should be looking up to them. And if you don't want to look up to them, totally cool. Get off this whole rich guy shit. But if you degrade them, prepare to be confronted back with a shittily fucking large dose of reality. If you're going to degrade rich people, we're going to point out the obvious fact that most of them are rich because they have produced more of the things other people value than you have. And then you're going to have to sit there and figure out how the fuck you're going to sort through that. Number 2, we want to empower people with education and encouragement. I want every kid from the fucking trailer park, and every kid from the ghetto, and every kid from suburbia, and every kid from every other part of the United States and the world to be given as good of an education as possible, to be given positive messaging and empowerment at every stage of their lives so they can do what? create the most value for others, becoming a universal team player, and getting fucking loaded in the process. Yes, I think that's a great thing. Lastly, number 3, we need to continue to support and in various ways modify our economy or economies around the world to be more conducive to value creation. And by the way, rigging an economy to create more value has been a solved problem in economics for at least 50 years, and it gets better solved all the time. 2 things that are really good for value production, and I absolutely will make a video on this later if you guys are interested, and probably even if no one else is. Liberalization, the freeing up of markets, generally less regulation, and legal stability, which means the regulations that you do have are intelligent and also stable over time, so that people, when they know regulations are stable over time, they can find out how to make value in a way that comports with those regulations. Those 2 things, essentially law and order and largely free markets, is what unifies every single country in the world that continues to produce a crap load of value. And guess what? Makes the most rich people too. And that's a really, really good thing. Anyway, that's my rant. See you guys in the comments. I'm going to be doing this to see how much hate I get. I'll peer through horror movie style through my hand. Catch you guys later.